Test.
We can hear you. Can you hear us, Mark?
I think we're getting the feedback.
Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me in the room?
We can hear you, Mark. Can you hear us? That's not looking.
Maybe turn your camera on so we can see your lips move.
Oh, yes, that would be good.
Okay, cover your ears. Say, I can't hear you.
Can you hear us, Mark? No. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
Now you can hear us? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we good to go? And who says? The law was trying to find a
Hello.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Township of Georgian Bay Community of Adjustment meeting for Friday, October 11, 2024. Before we begin, I'd like to read our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that we are working on the lands traditionally occupied by the Indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples continue to serve this, to care for this land and continue to shape our township. We show our respect and will continually honor the treaties that were signed as we consider our decisions and actions. This morning, there is a public meeting scheduled for 6 minor variance applications. Anyone who wishes to be notified of the decision of any application on this agenda this morning, please add your name to the contact information on the desk, or if you're online, please go ahead and send us an email. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized this morning. First, the Secretary Treasurer will advise the committee as to when, how, and to whom notice of each of the hearings was circulated for the applications being considered. Next, each of the applications will be considered separately. Planning staff will advise as to the purpose and effect of the applications and provide any information that is relevant. The Secretary Treasurer will summarize any correspondence on file, and from there, the applicant may make a brief presentation if they so choose. And the public will also have an opportunity to address the committee. After the public forum, the committee will then deliberate on the proposed applications and consider a motion to pass, defeat, or defer the decision of the applications. The minor variance applications being considered this morning are A24-41 for 41.7 Port Severn Road North, A24-45 for 638 Haskett Drive, A24-46 for 309 High Street, A24-47 for 7,002 Go Home Lake Shore. A23-50 for 386 Corrievale Road. And A24-35 for 544 Kingswood Road. So our first application being 41 Fort Severn Road North, to the planner, please.
No, sir, we're gonna.
Oh,
take
sorry.
off the minutes for last.
Okay, before that, we will, we have a motion moved by member Hazelton, seconded by member Matthews. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves the minutes of September 13, 2024 as circulated. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion is carried. Okay. Madam Secretary, would you advise as to the circulation of notices?
Certainly. Notice of each of the applications was sent by first class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 500 meters, or 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may also have been provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act 1990.
Thank you. Again, our first application is 41 Fort Severn Road North. To the planner, please.
Through the chair. The property is located on the Trent-Severn Waterway, having an area of approximately 762 square meters and a frontage of approximately 20 meters on Port Severn Road North. The lands contain a gravel driveway or parking area and softscape areas. A detached dwelling with associated deck and 2 sheds occupy the lands. The subject property is designated urban center within the District of Muskoka's official plan and designated residential within the Port Severn Urban Center in the Township's official plan. The lands have been identified as having high to very high archaeological potential, and the shoreline contains type 2 fish habitat. The purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to permit an accessory building in the rear yard at a setback of 1.5 meters from the rear lot line and limit of the right-of-way, whereas 4 meters is required. The accessory building is a shed that is currently located in the front yard, having an area of 8.91 square meters. The subject lands are zoned residential type 4, exception 19. This site-specific exception zone prohibits land and water-based accessory structures in the front yard. Although achieving compliance with the residential type 4 exception 19 zone by relocating the shed to the rear yard, the applicant is unable to comply with the blanket provisions which require all accessory buildings to be set back 4 meters from a rear lot line and the limit of a right-of-way, which is due to the existing dwelling, shed, and driveway location, combined with the minimum side yard and building separation provisions. It appears the only location the shed would achieve compliance with all provisions of the zoning bylaw is in front of the staircase to the dwelling on the driveway, which is basically the center of the front yard. The proposed setback of 1.5 meters allows for maintenance to be performed on the shed. Considering the use and size of the building, staff believe that there will be no privacy concerns or negative impacts on the streetscape. The district also took a road widening at the time the lot was created, and as such, the rear property line begins approximately 11.67 meters from the traveled road. Staff have completed a detailed analysis outlined in the associated report and are recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or online? Okay. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address this application? Yes, sir. If you would come up to the microphone, please, and give us your name and address for the record.
My name
Is that little red light on there? No. Thanks, Kaylee.
It's probably off the little button at the bottom.
My name is Luigi Ficchini. I live at 33 Port Severn Road North. My property is right next door to 41. Why I oppose the shed there is the reason. Number one, when I know they classify that as our backyard, but that's even the front of our homes. And when I go out my driveway, I don't want to see this thing in front of right near my home, because as I've had pictures I could give you guys, what he decides to do, it's classified as a junkyard. Okay, right now he's got 4 trailers on the property. A couple of them are like sheds. He built wood frame on an old snowmobile trailer that's never left in 3 years that I've been there. It can't even hit the road because it has no wheel fenders and it's only made out of plywood. So if he hits a road, it's going to fall apart, where he keeps his 4-wheeler and stuff inside. So to me, that's classified as a shed, even though it's on wheels, because he can't put it on the road. But he's smart. He puts plates on everything. So as of right now, as I got pictures, he's got 4 trailers, 2 boat trailers, a snowmobile trailer, and this other one on his lot. What he likes doing is anywhere he can't see, if you're driving up to his house, is clean and beautiful. But behind the shed, so if he puts it this close to this and towards my property, as I can show you in pictures that I made, he piles all his junk. So when you're at the neighbors' homes, all you see is garbage. It looks like it's in their yard. So by you letting him have this shed there, when people come up to my driveway, they're gonna think it's all my garbage sitting on the side of my home. Like, I know my lot's still not 100%. I just started building my home, but anyone could go over there and you could ask any of the neighbors. I try to keep my lot as clean as possible. No wood debris, no nothing. Yes, I still got to put grass in, which I'm hoping to get done in the next year. But he's there for a few months a year. He goes away for 6 months. He leaves the place like a disaster, like I could show you his pictures. Everywhere he has when I bought the lot, it was a nice open view of water. After I took over the lot, he decided practically he has no respect for neighbors, because not even 1 foot off the property line, he plants all these cedar hedges and just lets them grow up, and they grow all onto my side, so I got to trim them. Like, he could have put them over on his side. Plus, he cuts trees down, and he never has fires. He had some old trees that are dead, and he does, like on the property line, a fence, just piles them up. So when you're like in my front yard, because it's near the water, you see all this mess, and people think it's mine. So by him moving that shed there and piling more garbage behind it, that's why I'm opposed to it, because I don't want to make my house look like a dump. They go away all winter. They leave everything all out on the lawn, gas cans, this, that. And I just think if he knew he wanted to put sheds in, he could have put his house further back when he got that mobile home put in, got a permit to put a garage up, not sheds and after sheds. And then like this trailer, to me, I classify as a shed. Because it cannot, if MTO, even goes on Port Severn Road and OPP's behind him, they will pull it off the road. It hasn't been on the road because it's wood construction. And if you like, I got pictures I could give you guys. You could look at all this lot. And I don't know if there's any regulations with all these trailers that sit there all the time. And that's my reason why I'm against him having that shed there, because it's just going to be a storage for outside for his garbage. And to me, it's not even a shed, it's a bunkie. There's a queen size bed in there and everything, because he uses it as another piece inside. And that's where, and I don't know if there's a law that says you could have bunkies or not, but my biggest thing is, that was the biggest thing with my decision why I would prefer not to have it there.
Okay. All right, I appreciate your comments and thank you for coming out. Are you the house on the left or the right? Are you the gray house?
Yeah, the brand new gray house getting built, yes.
Yeah, okay. And just so you know, some of the issues that you brought up in terms of, you know, the state of the neighbor's property there. There's another avenue that you can explore, and that's the property standards. The township has some pretty well-defined regulations as to, you know, what you can abandon in the front of your house. So that may be another avenue
Yes.
for you to consider.
Because I know I already went to the township, put a complaint in about the property, because all the front property that owned by District Muskoka, he had his Winnebago and more junk all sitting there, and District Muskoka with Port Severn, they've made him clean all that garbage out of which technically is the backyard, but I call it the front because the road's there, but made him clean all that up already. But now, like if you go by there today, on the side of his trailer, he's got another boat trailer, he's got the big boat, then he's got like a snowmobile trailer with his canoes on. Then, like I said, on one side, like I got pictures if you like, where he's got this homemade shed.
No, Luigi, I appreciate we got the message.
Yeah.
So is there anyone else, any other member of the public that wishes to add comment on this application? Okay, no one online. All right, seeing none, I will close the public session. And Luigi, if there's any questions, we will ask you directly.
Sure.
So I'll close the public session, bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Jarvis.
Thank you. Can't hear you. My apologies. Maybe that's probably better anyway.
Thank you.
To the planning department, there's a diagram provided, I presume, by the applicant, showing the where this cabin shed is being moved to, and on it it shows a 3-meter setback from the side yard. Is that the same as the right of way, or is that different than the right of way? I guess is my question.
Through the chair, just one moment, I'm going to pull that up. I believe the 3-meter setback you're referring to is from the side yard, whereas the requirement for the side yard in this zone is only 2 meters.
Requirement for side yard setback is 2 meters?
Through the chair, that is correct.
So he's within that setback, but I gather but how does it relate to the right of way then? Where there's only a 1.5 meter setback apparently.
Through the chair, that is the requested variance, 1.5 meters from the rear lot line, which is also the limit of the right of way.
Okay, not sure I understand. You're saying, okay, 1.5 is what he's requesting. The diagram I'm looking at showing 3. The allowance is for 4. He wouldn't need a variance if he was 4 meters, and that was the only issue. But he's 3 meters or he's 1.5. Like according to the diagram we've been given here, which I don't think is planning department's diagram, it shows that it looks like 3 meters to me.
So the chair, I'm just going to share my screen and pull up the
That'd
diagram.
be great. Thank you very much. I think it was the last page. Yeah, there we go.
Through the chair, I'm seeing 1.5 meters right here where my cursor is.
Hang on,
3 meters to the nearest point of the shed to the side lot line, again where my cursor is.
Yep.
Is this the diagram you're referring to?
Yeah, we have an active cursor over there, member.
No, I'm watching on my screen here, but I'm not,
Yeah,
where'd the cursor go? There,
if you look over towards Kaylee, you'll see a cursor at the end of her finger.
yeah, that's the way, at 1 point, yeah, that's a 1.5 setback from the road, right? Yeah, okay, so, but there are two 1.5 setbacks that he needs the variance on. Where's the other one?
Through the chair, the rear lot line is same as the limit of the right of way.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, and just for a point of clarification, if his shed was 4 meters back instead of 1.5, he wouldn't be here for a variance, correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Maybe we should get him to move it 4 meters back. Anyway, okay, thank you.
If I could just continue that question with Shania, in the correspondence that we got, the Ministry of Transport had some wording in there about the setbacks that they have from the center line of Port Severn Road. Was that taken into consideration when you look at that 1.5 setback? Is there a different setback for the MTO?
Through the chair, I believe the correspondence you are referring to, yes, from the MTO, I believe that is just them informing the property owner that within a certain distance of the highway, they do require permits from them in addition to the township. So that would be the property owner's responsibility to review that and determine if they need a building permit and also reach out to the MTO.
Is that subsequent to the minor variance application being processed?
Through the chair, no.
So they're independent. Okay.
Through the chair, that is correct, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I guess just to comment that the unfortunate state of the other structures in the property are not actually considered permanent accessory structures, and therefore we're not considering them as part of our minor variance today. And that's a question to the planner.
Through the chair, I believe concerns raised today will have to be brought to by law enforcement's attention if they would like for, I guess, the township to act or look into and investigate that. The only building on the property subject to this application is the shed.
Okay, and second question with the shed. It's currently located in the front yard, and if the applicant was to have an application to keep the shed in its current location, would that be a zoning application or a minor variance?
Through the chair, the application would be a zoning bylaw amendment to allow for that shed to remain in the front yard.
Okay, thank you.
And just again, to follow up on that, was there a discussion with the applicant on what his options were in terms of leaving the shed where it is?
Through the chair, this application came to be as a result of a complaint from a member of the community. By law enforcement did investigate. They did bring the matter forward to the planning department, where we provided via email the property owner with their options to achieve compliance.
And one of those options was to, okay. Okay, then we've covered that. Are there any other questions, comments? Anyone online with their hand? Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to sort of echo, I guess, Mr. Predko's comment. It's unfortunate that there are so many maybe bylaw infringements, but it's not really has anything to do with today's application before us. My only question would be, there was mention that there's a queen size bed in this building and it's being used as a bunkie. Question number one, are bunkies allowed? And if not, can we put in some provision that this shed will not be habitable?
Through the chair, the R4 exception 19 zone or residential type 4 exception 19 zone does not permit a sleeping cabin or bunkie use. The building would have to be for storage purposes and meet the definition of a shed in the zoning bylaw.
Right. So could we just add it's not habitable as we have done on some other applications?
So the chair, the building is a shed, so it is the property owner's responsibility to ensure that it remains a shed and is not used for sleeping area, sleeping cabin purposes, anything like that.
And again, follow up to that, what is the procedure then if, that same member of the public was concerned about it being used as a sleeping cabin? Do they go to the bylaw enforcement officer with that?
Through the chair, a complaint would have to be filed with the bylaw enforcement department and they would investigate.
Okay, all right, cover that.
Sorry, Mr. Hill, I'm
I'm sorry, is
a
there
little
something else,
confused why
Member
we
Matthews?
can't add a slight amendment to the motion
We can't
as
hear
we
you.
have done in the past. We have put in the garages cannot be habitable. We put in this term many times in the past. I just don't understand why we couldn't add it here, which then strengthens the position of the township, I believe.
Okay, did you hear that okay?
Through the chair, I did, and I do not think it is necessary in this situation.
Okay. Member Hazelton and Member Matthews, your hand is still up there.
Yes, I know. Thank
Do you
you.
have it up? Member Hazelton.
Question for our planner. You don't think that clause that Member Matthews suggested is needed here? I'm wondering why not?
Through the chair, the accessory building is labeled as a shed, therefore the applicant has to ensure it is used as a shed. And as mentioned previously, if it is not used as a shed, bylaw enforcement does have the ability to revisit the property and investigate that.
Thank you. I would like to echo Member Matthews' concerns. I think that we've done this in the past, added a clause to the approval process, explicitly drawing out to the applicant that this cannot be used for human habitation, and the fact that there's a mattress in there and that it's observed that he uses it as a sleeping bunkie, to me suggests we should be taking action and be proactive on it. So I would suggest that we modify any motion to include that clause, which we have included several times before. Thank you.
Okay, no, I hear you both loud and clear, and I also think that due to the fact there's been this much discussion on this application, that without a doubt the neighbor that is concerned about the use of this shed will take the proper steps and advise the bylaw enforcement people to look into that, as well as the other concerns that were had. So I think we've got that covered. Member Rivet.
Yes, thank you. I only have one question to the planner. I just want to know what the weight or what the parameters around a right-of-way, access to a right-of-way is versus a setback from a property line. We know the setbacks are there to maintain access to the property, but that 4 meters from a right-of-way, to me, it seems it has a bit more weight than a property line. What is the reason for a setback from a right-of-way, and why does staff think that that setback in this case is appropriate? Because I just need to understand the difference of a right-of-way versus a lot line.
Through the chair, the minimum setback requirement for the limit of a right-of-way is the same as that for a rear lot line, because typically the rear lot line is a limit of a right-of-way in our township. The requirement, and I believe I explained it a little bit in the associated staff report, but the 4 meters applies to all accessory buildings in the township. So not just a shed being 1 story, maybe 8 square meters in size. It also applies to a detached garage that could have the maximum height of 4.5 meters with windows, a 2nd story, things like that. So the intent, it is a blanket provision for all accessory buildings, and it's to prevent privacy concerns, ensure there's adequate setback for maintenance and things like that as well.
Thank you.
I just want to echo the comments made by Member Matthews and Hazelton, and I think that I know we have in the past, was at Planning Council, I believe, if not here, you got it in there. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Our Secretary Treasurer is on the ball, has added that as we speak. So if there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. Moved by Member Rivet, seconded by Member Jarvis. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variances requested under minor variance application A24-41. An accessory building setback of 1.5 meters from the rear lot line, whereas section 4.1.7B permits a minimum setback of 4 meters, and an accessory building setback of 1.5 meters from the limit of a right-of-way, whereas section 4.1.8A permits a minimum setback of 4 meters, and subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And two, that there is no human habitation permitted in the shed structure. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. The motion is carried and the application is approved, subject to conditions. Our next application is A24-45 for 638 Haskett Drive. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the subject property has an area of approximately 3,125 square meters and 50 meters of frontage on 6 Mile Lake. The property boundaries are heavily vegetated with mature trees and the front yard contains a granite rock hill. The lands are designated waterfront within the district and township official plans and are zoned 6 Mile Lake residential. The lands are also within stratum 2 deer wintering area, and the shoreline contains type 2 fish habitat. The purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to legalize a dock having a length of 10.61 meters, whereas 10 meters is permitted. A building permit was obtained for the dock, which was built 0.61 meters longer than approved. Staff believe this occurred as a result of a misunderstanding on how dock length is measured. The proposed dock is the sole shoreline structure, which is located central to the detached dwelling and is limited to 3.1 meters in width. Although the length of the dock exceeds 10 meters, the projection of the dock is 9.6 meters. Projection is measured from the current watermark. To confirm, the dock complies with the minimum required side yard, maximum width, and the maximum cumulative width of all shoreline structures provisions. The intent of restricting the length of docks on 6 Mile Lake is to minimize their presence and to ensure that no navigational issues will arise considering the density in various inlets and bays of the lake. The abundance of natural vegetation in the front yard also assists with minimizing the presence of the dock, and the applicant has also done their best to preserve the shoreline in a natural state. Staff have completed a detailed analysis outlined in the associated report and are recommending approval. Thank you.
One letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating she has no concerns with this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or online? Okay, seeing none, is there any member of the public that wishes to address this application? Okay, again, seeing no one present or online, I'll close the public portion of the application and bring the matter before the committee for any questions or concerns. Okay, no questions or concerns. I will read the resolution. Thank you. It is moved by member Predko, seconded by member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variance requested under minor variance application A24-45. One is that a dock having a length of 10.61 meters, whereas section 4.1.13 subsection I permits the length of 10 meters and subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. Two, that the proposed dock is substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And three, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township, only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. The motion is carried. The application is approved. The next application is A24-46 for 309 High Street. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the subject lands have an area of 808 square meters and a frontage of 20 meters on High Street, being relatively flat with the exception of a hill in the rear yard, which extends beyond the limits of the property. A mix of mature trees are located along the property boundaries. A detached dwelling and a detached garage, which is the subject of this application, occupy the lands, which are designated residential within the urban center of McKay. The property is zoned residential type 4 and located within 120 meters of a provincially significant wetland. The purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to bring a legally existing detached garage that was reconstructed and expanded into compliance. The applicant is proposing to increase the floor area by 16.9 square meters and height by 0.43 meters within a required yard, whereas Section 411AI permits the reconstruction and expansion of a legally existing building, provided that the floor area or height are not increased in a required yard. The garage has a floor area of 32.7 square meters and a height of 3.12 meters. The tests for an application for permission to expand under Section 45(2) of the Planning Act are 1, whether the application is desirable for the appropriate development of the subject property, and 2, whether the application will result in undue adverse impacts on the surrounding properties and neighborhood. When applying these tests, only the proposed expansion may be evaluated for undue adverse impacts. The intent and purpose of the official plan is not a relevant consideration when applying the test under subsection 45(2). In order to refuse the application, the undue adverse impacts of the proposed expansion must be demonstrated by objective evidence and must be sufficient to override the property owner's right to reasonable flexibility, evolution, and expansion. The applicant believes that the previously existing garage was built in the 50s or 60s. The garage was located in the rear yard, had a floor area of 15.79 square meters, a height of 2.69 meters, and was set back 1.21 meters from the nearest side lot line. The proposed expansion is desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and the application will not result in undue adverse impacts on the surrounding properties for the following reasons. 1. Existing vegetation in the side, rear, and front yards will screen the garage from view. 2. The building footprint is being expanded into the rear and towards the center of the property. 3. The existing side yard setback is being maintained and not reduced. 4. The garage remains behind the rear wall of the detached dwelling. And 5, the expansion provides sufficient space for storage and a vehicle to be parked inside while allowing for access around its entirety. Although not a test, staff would like to bring to your attention that the detached garage is well under the maximum height of 4.5 meters and ground floor area of 112 square meters, which would be permitted should the building be shifted 0.79 meters. For the committee to deny the application, the undue adverse impacts of the proposed expansion must be demonstrated by objective evidence and must be sufficient to override the property owner's right. The committee can defer the application to a later date if additional information is required to come to a decision. Staff are recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence in this application?
Yes, one letter was received from Wasam Imran stating there is no objection to the application, however, has concerns regarding the property lot lines for future development.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Is there anything you wish to add to the comments of the planner? Okay, thank you. Oh, there is. All right, if there is, you'll need to come up, identify yourself, sit at the mic.
Hi, I'm Brent.
Your full name and address, please.
Oh, Brent Maguire, 309 High Street.
Okay.
Yeah, there's garage there, just looking for compensation.
Okay. You may as well hang on, and if there are any questions from the committee, then you're in the right spot to answer them. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address this application? Okay, seeing none present or online, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or concerns. And any questions or concerns over on this side? None? None over there? No hands up online? Oh, there is one.
Yes, thank you.
I needed to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, welcome to the Township of Georgian Bay. Thank you for investing in the town of McKay, and great work that you're doing on restoring one of the oldest houses in town. So thank you very much for that. It's a tremendous improvement. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. We will disregard that, strike that from the record. Okay, so if there are, so you're getting compliments rather than questions. If there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. Moved by Member Matthews, seconded by Member Predko. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variances requested under minor variance application A24-46. That a detached garage having an increased floor area of 16.9 square meters and a height by 0.43 meters within the required yard, whereas section 411A permits the reconstruction or expansion of a legally existing building provided that the floor area or height are not increased in a required yard. And subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. Two, that the detached garage be substantially and proportionally in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee, and that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next application is A24-47 for 7002 Go Home Lake Shore. To the planner, please.
Thank you, and through the chair. The subject lands have an area of 5,493.4 square meters with a frontage of 61.6 meters onto Go Home Lake. The requested variances to the Township of Georgian Bay zoning bylaw are as follows. An increase in gross floor area of 84.6%, being 64.63 square meters, whereas section 4.11 EI allows for an increase of 25%, being 19.05 square meters. And an increase in height to 4.81 meters, whereas section 4.11 EI allows for an increase in height to 4.53 meters. Displayed is a comparison between the existing front-facing wall of the dwelling and the proposed. In total, the height of the dwelling will be increased by 1.28 meters, with the width being increased by 2.44 meters. The majority of the gross floor area expansion will occur at the rear of the existing dwelling footprint. An overhead view of the proposed floor plan provides a visual of the area of the gross floor area expansion. The red hatched area represents the footprint of the existing dwelling, while the green hatched area represents the area of the footprint expansion. The site plan once again displays the footprint of the existing dwelling and the proposed expansion. The existing frame shed, as shown to the northwest of the dwelling, will be shifted slightly to achieve the minimum 5-meter setback between buildings. The proposed dwelling will remain appropriately set back from all other accessory buildings, septic system, and will not further decrease the front yard setback. The property owner intends to maintain the natural state shoreline area, including all existing trees between the dwelling and the shoreline as shown in the photos. Shown in the left photo, to the left of the existing dwelling, is the existing frame shed to be shifted. The photo on the right once again displays the majority of the natural state shoreline to be conserved from the front of the dwelling. The committee can either approve or deny any one of the variances being requested. The committee may also defer the application to a later date if additional information is required to come to a decision. Planning staff have completed a detailed analysis of the variance to the zoning bylaw being requested and are recommending approval subject to the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Has there been any correspondence in this application?
Two letters of support were received from Janet and Lauren Gower and Stephen Falls, and one letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating a building permit will be required.
Thank you. Is the applicant present, and do they wish to add anything to the planner's comments?
They are present online.
Okay. Good morning. Could you please identify yourself, Victoria?
My name is Victoria Hoffman. I'm here on behalf of Flow Drawings, 3 Violet Drive, Port Severn. I'm the agent for Mike and Sarah Stocco on Go Home Lake. This cottage rebuild, we're just working off the existing footprint, expanding a little bit to either side and then going to the rear. The original dwelling is like a panabode build, so the walls are shorter and the roof slope is like a 2.5, 12. So we're just trying to get some taller walls and a taller roof line to help with snow load and stuff like that. And then the existing front yard setback was limiting us to about 205 square feet increase, and that didn't quite do it for these guys. The other thing I wanted to mention, which I think was a miscommunication between Andrew and I, the shed isn't moving. I shifted the building. So originally our idea was to go 4 feet on either side. Now we're going 3'2" on the shed side and 4'10" on the other side. So the shed isn't moving. We've just shifted the building over a little bit by 10 inches, just to make sure that that 5-meter setback was met between the buildings. The owners are present online, but they're just kind of here to answer any questions if you have any, and so am I.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see if there are any questions. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address this application? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public session, bring the matter before the committee for any questions or comments. And seeing none on this side, do we have any online? No hands up. Then our planner's done an excellent job of presenting this application. I will read the resolution. Moved by member Hazelton, seconded by member Jarvis, Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A24-47 to zoning bylaw 2414-75 as amended for 7,002 Go Home Lakeshore to facilitate the expansion of a legal non-compliant dwelling, recognizing the following: an increase in gross floor area of 84.6%, whereas section 4.11 allows for an increase of 25%. An increase in the height of 4.81 meters, whereas section 411E allows for an increase in height of 4.53 meters. The above noted approvals are subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. That the proposed detached dwelling be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township, only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved. Our next application is A23-50 for 386 Corrievale Road. To the planner, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property, sorry, I've got something in the way here and I can't read my notes. There we go. The subject property is comprised of 0.53 hectares located at the mouth of Lamb Bay on the Trent-Severn waterway. The waterfront in front of the property is identified by the MNRF as part of a provincially significant wetland or PSW, and care must be taken during redevelopment of the sensitive features. At the present time, according to MPAC, the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, there is currently a single detached dwelling with an attached garage, 2 cabins, a detached garage with a sleeping cabin, and a boathouse. I would like to confirm, after visiting the site and confirmation from the owner and pictures included in the staff report, that there is no sleeping quarters in the detached garage. It is strictly storage. An application for a minor variance was received by the township on January 25th, 2024, as a result of consultation with planning staff. The owners wish to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling using the existing legal non-complying setback to the high water mark. At the hearing on March the 7th, 2024, concerns were raised by a member of the public regarding the location of the proposed new dwelling and indicated that there was enough land area to move the new cottage back from the water's edge. The owner had advised at the time that if the dwelling were to be relocated further back on the lot, there would be a number of trees and potential blasting that would have to take place in order to accommodate the new structure. It's the owner's intent to remove the cabin on the south side of the dwelling, which is right here, if you can see on the screen that I'm circling with my cursor. And the existing cottage is currently 128.31 square meters, whereas the proposed is to be 284.81 square meters in size. The existing width is 18.15 meters, with the proposed to be 29.15 meters upon construction completion. Upon visiting the site, the owners indicated that no trees will need to be removed in their entirety if the new dwelling can be constructed with the same setback, with some trimming of the stand of mature trees, but no removal. It can be noted that if the new dwelling were to be located further back on the lot, there would be a number of trees that would need to be removed, as well as blasting. For applications to extend a legal non-conforming use under subsection 45.2, the consideration is to be based upon both desirability for development of the property in question and the impact on the surrounding land area. Since the existing dwelling on the property is recognized as legal non-complying as it existed prior to the first zoning bylaw for the Township of Georgian Bay, the analysis of this application is under subsection 45.2 of the Planning Act. The minor variances are desirable as they facilitate the construction of a new dwelling in the same location as the existing dwelling while respecting the existing natural vegetation and shoreline with no further encroachment into the front yard setback. Additional natural vegetation to be planted is also being recommended as a condition of approval. As stated before, the proposed dwelling is to be no closer to the shoreline than the existing. And while visiting the property, it was noted there were properties across the lake from the subject lands that were visible from the shore. The two properties directly across the lake, which staff believe to be 187 and 223 Lakeview Drive, are completely screened with tree cover. The property to the southwest of the subject lands across the lake, which staff believe is 230 Lakeview Drive, has no natural plantings and is completely visible from the water with a landscaped lawn. Staff are in support of this application as presented, subject to the recommended conditions, and staff are also recommending, as you will note in the staff report, that a minor variance agreement be entered into between the municipality and the owners in order to ensure that this additional landscaping and putting the frontage back to the natural state in a certain area is beneficial to not only them, but also the municipality and the shoreline. Committee of Adjustment, of course, have options. They can approve the application as recommended. They can deny the application or defer the application once again with reasons identifying the additional information or actions that you require. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence in this application?
7 letters of support were received from Cope Smith, Eva Van Henne, Glenn Hayes of Hayes Landscaping, Michael Boulius, Nicholas Hudson, Pat DeBerto, and Paul McKay.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant present and do they wish to add anything to the planner's comments? Okay, please come up and identify yourself with name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Yolanta McKay. My address at the cottage is 386 Corrievale Drive. My husband and I own the property for over 40 years. And we are planning to build a cottage, which is going to become our permanent residence. That's our intent. I have with me present the architect that I've hired and also the builder and landscaper that we're going to be working with. So I would like them to present more detail for you. We basically like to work with the land we have and minimize the destruction on our land. We have a number of trees and we have a hill at the back that if we move the cottage back, the hill would have to be blasted and we would lose big number of trees and the trees canopy that we would like to preserve. But I will let the architect speak.
If you don't mind, if we have some questions that involve the landscape architect or the builder, then we would ask them to respond at that time.
The architect has a presentation sort of showing what we are planning to do on the property. So maybe that will be helpful for everybody to understand.
Okay, then please proceed. And please come up and identify yourself.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my name is Ian Robertson, and I'm the agent acting on behalf of the owner for the McKay family. I did submit a presentation. I'm not sure if you guys can present that, or if I can. I was told I can do screen share or something. Okay. If you want, it's probably just as simple. If you'd like to jump to page 2, we can start with that. The application itself, as mentioned very well by the planning department, is a reconstruction of a new cottage, utilizing the existing setback and footprint with expansions on that. And if you wouldn't mind jumping to page 3, are you able to zoom in or no? If not, it's okay. If you zoom it into the screen. As you can see, there's a large tree canopy on our property, and the red dot is essentially where our cottage is currently located. Our proposed footprint is actually to the upper left quadrant where that red dot is, which is actually open space right now. It's currently our driveway and a little bit of lawn space. And the intention is to expand backwards and to the left over there. Again, as the owner said, we're trying to preserve and maintain all the tree canopy that we have there. And we believe we can do that in a safe way, which is why we had actually brought the builder, who's also the landscaper, who's going to do all the work in case there were any further questions as to how we would maintain and manage that. But the application itself is like the homeowner said, she's been there for over 40 years, and then her family has grown over time, so which is why we're looking for the larger footprint increase. If you don't mind jumping to page 4, just a quick. We have done some work on the property to figure out what we want to do from an elevation standpoint, and this is the concept we're working with. It's a bungalow style with a few vaulted ceilings and high ceilings, and we have a building height of approximately a little less than 8 meters overall. But the idea is to sort of maintain what we have there and have it integrated into the facade or the elements of the nature there. So it's going to be a warm building that fits within the bay line there. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that you guys may have on this. But we believe that where our intention here is to preserve the views from the water line and maintain all the trees and whatnot we have around us. So, but again, happy to answer any questions you guys might have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, just hang in there, and if there are any questions that come your way, the planner did mention that. What the penalty would be if you move back, the number of trees and rocks that had to move. So we're quite well aware of that. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address this application? Okay, seeing none present or online, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee. And just before we get questions or comments, I would just ask the committee, has everybody had a chance to read the resolution or see the conditions of the resolution? Okay. And the purpose of that is, this is when we had the application before the committee before, there were a couple of issues that there were a number of questions around. And one was, first of all, the use of the space above the garage, and that's been well addressed in that it's obvious from the photographs that were supplied that is a storage area. And the second area that had a lot of question was the use of the additional cabin that's built to the rear of the existing property. And I understand from our planner that that will be removed and be incorporated as part of the new structure. So those are the two key issues that were there. There was an additional concern about the planting in the front of the property, and I see that's addressed in the conditions as well. So I think we've done a pretty good job of getting caught up on the issues that were voiced at the last meeting. So with that, I will bring the matter before the committee for any questions or comments. And please indicate by raising your hand. I don't see anybody online, but I see a guy right here with a hand up electronically and physically. So you have two questions.
Sure, I can bring it out to, if you want me to extend the meeting longer.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to confirm that the relief that they're seeking for on the recommendation of 2 meters in height is in reference to the 8 meters that we just heard about. So, okay. Because I don't think we saw what the height was in your report, but just in the presentation. And I did have an opportunity to see this property as well, and the logical place to do some extension of the cottage is in that grassy area where it's flat, so I am supportive of that. And the only other area of question is the possible shoreline restoration area. I think that's where the hot tub is, which obviously has to go. But is there any recommendation on what would be included in that? Is it more tree cover or just naturalization in general?
Through the chair, I believe that it's going to be beneficial during the minor variance agreement stage that we incorporate a landscaping plan of some sort. I'd like to, and I'm sure you would as well, natural shoreline restoration, possibly some more tree planting. So I think it would be the township working with the landscape architect to come up with some sort of beneficial vegetation for that area.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Member Jarvis.
Sorry, just to follow up, can we not have this naturalization as part of the resolution?
I believe it is. Did we have a condition?
Don't think I
in
saw
here?
that in there, but I may have missed it.
Yes. Erosion and sediment control. Oh, yeah, it is. It's condition number 3, member Jarvis.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Other than that, I mean, I will decry the fact that there's so much of the natural vegetation in the PSW's been removed. I'm happy to see some of it's being restored. I'd like to see more of it, but other than that, as member Predko stated, the logical place to put any addition to that building is where it's been proposed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I see a hand up from member Predko, member Jarvis, and member Matthews. So we'll start with member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarity, Ms. McKay, you talk about before this goes to a minor variance, is like, I thought we were having a minor variance today. Is there another process that this is going through?
Through your, Mr. Chair, it's a minor variance agreement I'm recommending, not a minor variance. A minor variance agreement will be registered on title against the property.
Okay, it's like what we used to have under some other name. Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much for that clarity.
Okay. Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. Moved by member Predko, seconded by member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A23-50 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 as amended for 386 Corrievale Road to facilitate the demolition of the existing cottage and the construction of a single detached dwelling in the appropriate, pardon me, in the approximate same footprint as the legal non-complying dwelling as follows. Maximum increase in GFA to 122%, maximum increase in width to 61%, and maximum increase in height 2 meters. Subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And 2, that the proposed single detached dwelling be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions set out in the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And 3, that the owner enters in a minor variance agreement with the Township of Georgian Bay to include planting and a landscaping plan to the satisfaction of staff and to ensure that the plantings are completed on or before June 1, 2025. And 4, that the agent or owner prepares an erosion and sediment control plan satisfactory to the township to be included in a minor variance agreement, and that the plan is executed throughout the duration of the construction of the proposed development, subject to the minor variance application A23-50. And that an Ontario land surveyor, professional engineer, or certified engineering technologist verify by pinning the foundation wall and verifying in writing or by way of survey real property report prior to the pouring of the footing. And if no footing of the foundation, that the new dwelling is no closer than 8.5 meters from the front lot line. And 6, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township, only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you.
Our next application is A24-35 for 544 Kingswood Road. To the planner, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject lands are comprised of 0.71 hectares or 1.75 acres with a frontage of 60.04 meters or 197 feet on Georgian Bay. There is a small strip of provincially significant wetland, PSW, identified approximately 7 meters from the front property line in the water, and a portion of the existing dock is within the PSW. This appears to be the norm with existing docks along this area of shoreline. The owner had submitted for a zoning certificate for the construction of an addition to the existing dwelling as well as a boat port. At that time, it was noted that the proposed boat port was not in compliance with the zoning bylaw relating to the maximum width, maximum length, and the interior side yard setback. An amended application for a minor variance was received by the township on September the 11th, 2024, as a result of consultation with planning staff. The owners of the property are proposing to construct a 99.03 square meter or 1,066 square foot boat port in the location of the existing dock. A minor variance is required in order to address the deficiencies. According to the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, at the present time, there is a single detached dwelling, a cabin, and a detached garage with a residence above on the property. A zoning certificate was issued for the property on September 5th, 2024, for an entrance porch addition to the existing dwelling. If the committee approves the variance request for the development of a boat port, the owner will be required to apply for and obtain a zoning certificate prior to the issuance of a building permit. As the subject property has a frontage of approximately 40.6 meters, the maximum width permitted is 5.8 meters, with the maximum length on Georgian Bay of 10.2 meters for a boat port. The boat port will be recognized as an accessory structure, which must be a minimum of 5 meters from an interior side yard as projected. The proposed boat port will not be in compliance with the minimum 5-meter setback to the interior side yard as projected, and therefore a variance is required. There was a boat port in front of the property previously and in the approximate location of the existing dock. The proposed boat port will be considered under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. Under subsection 45(1) of the Planning Act, the tests for the application are meeting the general intent and purpose of the official plans, meeting the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, being minor, and being desirable for the appropriate use or development of the subject lands. The majority of the properties within the vicinity of 544 Kingswood Road have large docks and boat ports that project into the water, and what is being proposed in staff's opinion will be in conformity with other structures in the area. Provided the deficiencies are addressed through the variance process and the proposed boat port is constructed as presented, it is staff's opinion that the development proposed by the application and subject to conditions is desirable and appropriate development of the subject lands. Staff are recommending approval of the application based on a review of the relevant policies, as the proposal is consistent with the PPS and does meet Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and in my opinion represents good planning.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence on this application?
One letter was received from the Severn Town Environmental Association stating they have no comment on this application, and one letter of support was received from Cheryl Flood.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, we are.
And is there anything you wish to add to the comments of the planner? You'll have to come up, identify yourself, your address.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the reason why we're making...
And your name and address, sir?
My name is Bill Cooper.
You are the agent for the applicant?
Yes, she happens to be my wife. The main reason for us making these changes is that the existing boat dock is 35 years old, and it's made out of with juice drums. It stood up quite well, and because of my situation, I have trouble standing on it because it's wobbly. So we're going to put the steel that we'd like to put the steel dock in. So we'll have the stability and also have railings on it. So we can use the water as we used it before.
Okay, thank you.
That's
okay, well, please remain there, and if there are any questions that come your way, you'll be prepared. And is there any member of the public present that wishes to address this application or make comment? Yes, please come forward to the other mic and identify yourself, and I'm happy to hear your comments.
Good morning, committee. My name is Richard Woodruff. My wife Kathy and I are the owners of 614 Kingswood Road, which is 2 properties over from Bill and Ethel's. They have been our neighbors for 30 years, great neighbors. We can see their dock from our property. We are very much in support of this application. Just as a side note, I remember the original boat port being there when I was a kid, Dr. Barber, and I'm looking forward to seeing a new boat port there again. So very much in support.
Thank you very much for that. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Please identify yourself for the record.
Push the middle button. The middle button. There we go. All right. My name is Maurizio Morris Panico. My residence is at 520 Kingswood Road. I've been a neighbor of the Cooper for a long time. I'm related to them. I have no problem whatsoever in regarding this application. I would like Bill to spend the rest of his great time in Georgian Bay.
Okay, thank you very much. And is there anyone else that wishes to address the committee? Please come forward.
Push the second.
There you go. Marilyn Dudman. I own 110 Kingswood, 126 Kingswood, and the back lot also. I think there used to be a boat port there, and I think what he's doing is going to be great, and so I approve it.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to offer comment? Nobody in opposition? With that, I will close the public session of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And seeing none here, do we have any online? Okay, then I will read the resolution. Moved by member Matthews, seconded by member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A24-35 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 as amended for 544 Kingswood Road to facilitate the construction of a boat port with an increase in the permitted width, length, and minimum interior side yard setback as follows. Interior side yard setback of 2 meters, maximum length of boat port of 12.5 meters, maximum width of boat port of 7.9 meters. Subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. 2, that the proposed boat port be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out in the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And 3, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of the decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have an additional resolution moved by member Jarvis and seconded by member Hazelton. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment does now adjourn at 11:16 a.m. until November 8, 2024 at 10 a.m. or at the call of the chair. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned.